Every January, okay, there's this collective of I need to fix myself. I need to go harder. I need to reinvent myself, right? The whole new year, new me situation. But for those of you that have been riding with me for a while, you know that I move a little bit differently when it comes to going into the new year. So instead of resolutions, drum roll please, my word to guide me through 2026 are space, intuition, and invest. Now, I did do some replays for you all about why I choose words, but we're still going to go into those a little bit. And then my words of last year, which were expand and repurpose. And things went really well. I've expanded in multiple areas of my life with my health, with my therapy practice, with just who expanded into that a lot. And repurposing, stop reinventing the wheel, make things easy. Because, a couple years back, simple was one of my words. And just because the year has ended doesn't mean that I'm not still implementing those words, because the goal is for it to become habits, to lean into these words as habits. So I still take the words into me. I'm still taking expand and repurpose with me into 2026. But the priority is space, intuition, and invest. Now, I'm not knocking anybody who prefers resolutions. If it's working for you, that's great. But I feel like they ask for us to override ourselves rather than listen to ourselves. So we're going to go into my word, what they mean to me, why they matter, and how it opens up a new realm of possibility for me. Now, before we dive into the words, I kind of want to go back to why I choose words instead of resolutions, because this shift in my approach is actually really important. And you have to decide if that actually works for you. Now, in my mind, resolutions, they're usually about doing. So we're going to lose the weight. We're going to make more money. We're going to be more productive. I'm going to get up earlier. I'm going to drink more water. You see, they're very action oriented, which isn't a bad thing. We want action. I tell y'all all the time, implementation. I want y'all to take action. But the thing that's missing from a resolution is why. Okay, so let's take, for instance, the gym people, because now these people say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to go to the gym. They hit the gym in January. By February, they're gone. There was no why behind going to the gym. Sometimes losing weight isn't enough. Like, it's just not enough. Me going to the gym has everything to do with me being a better CEO and a better leader for my team. I need the energy. I need the brain power. I need to be quick on my feet. I just need to be healthy, because now I have this practice and these people who are dependent on me and my family that's dependent on me, and I need to be healthy to show up for everybody. More importantly, resolutions often come from a place of I'm not enough. Like, who I am today is not enough. They're rooted in fixing you rather than growing you. So they ask you to muscle through, to override your body signals, and push past your limits, all to become who you think you should be. So for me, words, they help me listen. So when I choose my words of the year, it's not like this rigid goal. And that was one of the things that I struggled with when I did into like resolutions and goals, is if I got to the end of the year and I didn't meet that, it made me feel like I was a failure. So now I can make decisions in a different way. I'm giving myself permission to pause and ask, does this align with my word? Does this choice honor what I said matter to me this year? And so that goes back to me saying, yes, I'm continuing to take the old words into the new year with me. But now when I ask certain questions, it aligns not with that word. Those are habits that I built. That's how I move in my day to day. I make things simple. I make things easy. I'm very sensual, right? But the priority is the word of the year. Words also invite reflection. They create space for intuition. They allow for some more nuance and change as the year goes on, right? Because as we know, lives. So if you're saying, I want to lose 30 pounds and that's your goal for the year, what happens if you get pregnant? What happens if you get sick? Right? What happens if all these little life circumstances come in and you don't meet that goal? Then we feel like we're stuck to it. And if we don't meet it, we feel like a failure. Me, for instance, I would feel like a failure. So that's kind of my thought process about resolutions and years. And honestly, being a high achiever, right? Being in the high achieving recovery group or a high achiever, you already carry a lot. So the last thing you need is another metric that you have to meet because you've already got a slew of them. What you need is a way to stay connected to yourself, whether you're navigating this or that. Because you'll always be navigating this or that. So you want to be able to feel grounded in yourself and stay connected in yourself. And that's what words do. So now that you kind of have the foundation, let's go into my 3 words. Now, my first word is space. And I don't want you to think of space as passive, right? Like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm just here. I'm not doing nothing. I'm being lazy. That's not what it is. Space comes from a place of capacity. So what I realized last year is working a 9 to 5, growing a group practice of clinicians, like a team, I was doing too much. I was doing too much. And I would have these conversations in my accountability group, and they say, well, Natasha, you can delegate that to somebody. Why are you doing that? You create automation for that. And I just started looking at the areas of my life where I'm like, should I be doing that? Which space became a word that came to me. And then I think I was listening to a podcast and the lady was talking about creating space. And I was like, okay, that's not a coincidence. I look at all the little synchronicities around my life. That was one. Space is officially the word. So for me, space is about creating room internally and externally. I want to be able to feel, to choose, to pause, and to respond instead of reacting. And for a lot of us, high achievers, quote, there's no space anywhere in our life. Like any ounce of space on our calendar, in our day, in our anything, it is filled with things for other people. I'll bet your calendar's already packed with things for other people. I bet your to-do list is already extremely long, right? Even your downtime is filled with obligations or, kind of scrolling, doom scrolling, being in other people's lives, managing other people's needs. And so when there's no external space in your life, then there's no internal space either. And so what that ends up looking like is irritability when somebody asks you to do something, being numb to everything that's going on around you, even when you're overwhelmed, resentment to the people that you love and the commitments that you enjoy, and like this constant anxiety that you can't put a name to it, but you also can't shake it. And I felt, I always felt like I was teetering on the edge of burnout every day. Like, it's just like, eh, uh, and I didn't know what to do. Like, how do I release this? How do I get rid of this feeling? When there's no space, you are operating in survival mode. You're not living. And I have an episode in the ether about surviving, living, and thriving. And I know that I want to thrive. I want to thrive. And I'm also recognizing that I am a model for many, whether I choose to be or not. So I am a model for my friends. I am a model for my family. I am a model for my clients. I am a model for my team. I'm a model for coworkers, right? So I am a model. And if I'm going to sit here and say, oh, I rally around pleasure and self care and rest, I need to be doing that because when someone sees me doing it, they ask questions about it. And then I can explain to them how I've gone through it and how I've done it. So you're functioning, you're accomplishing, like you're holding things together, But when we're not present, what does that actually mean? Right? Like, what does that mean? So for me, choosing space as one of my words this year means I'm actively protecting capacity. I am protecting all the things around me. I am creating a pretty little cloud pillow around me to focus on what the things that I want to. So, what is this going to look like? It's going to be me doing more of what I already do, but maybe stepping it up a notch and being more intentional. So, I'm going to be saying no to things that don't align with my priorities, even if they're good things. So there are a lot of volunteering that I do for my practice and going to this event and talking to this person and this, that, and the other. I can't do all of that. I can't do all of it. And so it may look like delegating it or saying no. This looks like building in transition time between commitments instead of back to back scheduling. I did a very good job this year of creating space for transitioning from work to seeing my clients in the evening. Every month, I have a week where I do not see clients for the week. I will go to work, and I will come home, and I will go on with the rest of my day. I recognize that the rushing to get home and getting ready for sessions and all of that, especially now growing a practice where I need to be building up the clinicians in my team, I need more space. This also looks like allowing myself to sit with discomfort instead of immediately problem solving it away. I had 3 weeks off where I created space. So I started before the year even came in where I didn't have to do anything. And I sat with a lot of thought and a lot of realizations that now, after the 3 weeks, I'm gonna become problem solving. I'm going to solve these problems or these things or these nuances that came up for me. I want more of it. I want more of being okay with being uncomfortable in this new phase of my life. You should too. And I'm creating space on my calendar where nothing is planned, where I will do nothing. Maybe I'll do my hobbies, maybe I won't. And that's absolutely okay. But here's what's important for you to understand. Creating space can often bring up guilt, which we're constantly talking about guilt, right? Like we're constantly talking about guilt. We're constantly talking about shame. When you're conditioned to believe that your worth comes from how much you do and how much you put out and how much, you put on your calendar and your to-do list, it can feel selfish. Space can feel selfish. It can feel like you're letting people down and you're not doing enough. And that's inherited. Okay. My space isn't selfish. My space is essential. My space doesn't take away from someone else. All right. It's actually providing more for the people that I care about and the things that I love. It allows me to hear myself. I want to hear myself. It's going to allow me to hear the intuition, which is one of my words. I'm not going to just be moving by checking boxes and meeting expectations and never checking in with myself to see, is I actually want to be doing? Like, what are we doing here? So if you are someone that feels like you're constantly running, you're never really arriving anywhere, you're collapsing at the end of the day, you're exhausted, you can't relax, you say yes when you know you actually want to say no, there's no time for anything that's just for you, space might be a good word. Space might resonate with you. And I want you to remember space isn't about doing less. It's about having more room to choose intentionally. Okay. Now, my second word is intuition. And I chose this word because somewhere along this journey, I stopped trusting myself. And it wasn't something that happened all at once. It was very gradual, very small from like the over functioning, trying to meet other people's expectations, listening to what other people were saying. I don't know if I did a podcast episode or if it was an email, but I was like, we're going to do a decision detox. We're not asking anybody else about our decisions. We're just going to make the decision, which can help with intuition, right? But we get used to being the valuable one, the responsible one, the strong one that can handle everything. And what happens is you end up overriding your body. You start listening and watching to what everyone else is doing. Social media doesn't help at all. But, you start looking at all these external things and should that be for me? Should I want that? And you start ignoring what it is that you want. You start moving through exhaustion. You're ignoring being uncomfortable. You're dismissing gut feelings because, oh, it doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't make logical sense. Well, some things just don't make logical sense. And this is coming from somebody who's very logical. Type A, very logical. But sometimes logical is not the answer. And then in the midst of all that, we lose connection. We lose touch with our intuition. Intuition is not from the mind, which makes it really hard. It makes it really hard. Intuition is not from the mind, it's from the body. And if you are disconnected from the sensations in your body, then you're disconnected from your intuition. Now, what can intuition look like? It can look like someone asking you a question and you feel a sensation in your chest that makes you feel tight. Your stomach starts to turn. It's just like a feeling, like you can't articulate something, but it's like, ugh, or it's an excitement when something aligns and you're just super excited and it's just like, I don't know why. I don't know why. That's your intuition. It's our nervous system connecting with us and communicating and saying, this is safe. This doesn't really feel good. And as high achieving women, we definitely navigate every day with code switching, being hyper vigilant, and constantly proving our worth. That intuition gets smaller and smaller and smaller because why? Survival requires us to override it, right? You may have learned that speaking up isn't safe, right? That you're too much, you're too sensitive, you're too big, you talk too much, you're intimidating. I'm pretty sure all of us have heard that we are intimidating at some point or another. And they served us, right? The strategies to get us through the day to day of our life served us. They helped us navigate these situations, but we have to start learning how to separate the two, right? We have to know when to switch on. I'm going out here, I'm going to protect myself, but also I'm going to lean into my intuition because your intuition doesn't disappear. Your intuition actually makes things easier for you if you listen to it. It's quiet, it's there. It's underneath all the mental chatter and the shoulds and the expectations and the fear of disappointing people and hurting people's feelings. And I mean, part of my work this year, both personally and in my practice with my clients and my clinicians, is learning how to hear it again. So this looks like me pausing before making decisions, creating space, right? We go, see how they roll into each other. Creating space to decide, well, what do I want? Not what should I want? What do I actually want? And then there's noticing the body signals, like the tension, the ease, the excitement, the fluttering, the dread, and actually using those as information, not ignoring them, not pushing them to the side. I'm also leaning into trusting my first instinct. I always used to have an issue with like taking a test and writing an answer and then second guessing myself and then overthinking it and trying to rationalize things. That didn't go away. It just transitioned into a different area of my life. It looks different. But I'm not going to second guess that first instinct anymore. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm also going to be creating enough space to actually hear the quieter voice of my intuition underneath the louder things. Now, we've talked about taking time to be quiet and sit by yourself. That's the only way you're going to hear yourself from the noise of your parents, all of these authority figures, all of these things that you've gained along the way. At some point, you have to sit and be quiet to understand what is for you and what's not for you. This is what the intuition is. Now, when it comes to my clients, this piece, this intuitions piece is where transformation helps and happens. Okay. And I also dabble in this with my team and helping them hear themselves. It's not about telling anyone what to do, right? So I don't tell my clients what to do. I don't tell my clinicians what to do. It's about asking them, well, what do you want? That's a question I ask people all the time. Well, what do you want? What do you want? Well, you should probably go take some time and be quiet and journal or do something fun and figure out what it is that you want. Because when we're reconnected to our intuition, decisions become so much clearer. Boundaries become easier. Again, we're not second guessing ourselves because we've learned to trust the wisdom that lives within us, not just our mind. Now, I want to name something really important here. Reconnecting with your intuition doesn't mean every decision becomes easier or clear. It doesn't mean that you don't doubt yourself. It doesn't mean that you know exactly what to do. But what it does mean is you have access to one more source of wisdom, which is your own, right? And for those of us that have constantly looked outside of ourselves for validation, permission, and direction, this reconnection is profound and important. Okay. So if you are someone that's constantly second guessing yourself, you're looking everywhere for answers before checking in with what you want, or you feel disconnected from your own desires, maybe intuition is a word that's calling for you. And it's not a mystical thing. Okay. It is our body's wisdom trying to guide us. You just got to create enough space to listen. And last but not least, my word, invest. Now, I know the first thing we think about when I say invest is money. That's what people always think about investing. Oh, must mean that I got to put some money to it. Now, yes, there will be some investing financially. Okay. I will be looking into stocks and bonds and accounts and growth. Like, yes, there will be some investment as it comes to money. But what I'm thinking of is much bigger than money. It's about where I'm going to invest my time, where I'm going to invest my energy, my attention, and also my resources. I am now being intentional with my choices that support the life that I want to live because I'm trying to thrive. All right, y'all. I'm not here to just live and do the day to day. I'm over surviving. I'm trying to thrive. I'm not trying, actually. I am thriving. I am moving in the direction of thriving. I see little glimmers of it every single day. For me, choosing invest as one of my words means that I'm committing to something I've struggled with for a long time, choosing support sooner instead of later. Because I've noticed a pattern in myself. And honestly, it's in so many women that I work with, friends with, probably you listening. We wait until we are completely depleted before we ask for help. And even in that, we still feel uncomfortable asking for help. We try to do everything ourselves until we can't anymore. We invest in everyone and everything else before we invest in our own well being. And then we wonder why we're resentful, exhausted, and disconnected. And I'm going to do something different this year. I'm going to do something different. So for me, investment means I'm investing my time into practices that actually nourish me, not just keep me afloat. So I had and you'd be surprised the resources you have access to. Through my insurance, I was able to see a nutritionist. So I have 3 free sessions through my insurance. And I met with a nutritionist in December, and I'm going to meet with a nutritionist in January, the end of this month, probably after, because things that she wanted me to do, it just wasn't happening during the holidays. So I'm going to do it during January. We're going to check in, and then I'll do the things for February. And so I have those 3 free sessions that can get me on the right foot, investing in something different when it comes to me. I'm investing my energy in relationships that are reciprocal, not ones where I'm always giving. Luckily, I don't have a lot of those relationships, but I am going through the Rolodex of everyone that I spend time with and trying to see what's going on with that relationship. How does that relationship need to look? What box do I need to put that person in? How close do they have access to me? I'm investing in systems and support that make my life feel more sustainable. This is really pertinent to my business as well as my decision fatigue. That was really important. What led to this word is I struggle from decision fatigue. At this point, I need things to be easy. Need things to be easy. It can be boring. I will work through that. But that is exactly where investing came from. And I'm also investing in not doing everything alone. And that one is really important to me. And I want you to sit with that for a moment because there is this narrative that Black women, us high achievers, when we ask for help, we're weak. It's like, well, if you had it all together, you wouldn't need the support. Successful people figure it out on their own. And that's a lie. The most successful, fulfilled people that I know now, personally and professionally, they invest in support before crisis mode comes. They don't wait until their relationship is falling apart to go to couples therapy. They don't wait until they're breaking down to go to therapy. They don't wait until their bodies are screaming and giving out to prioritize rest. They invest in support as a strategic choice, not a last resort. And that's what I'm committed to this year. And so for some of you listening, that might mean investing in therapy. For others, it might mean hiring help for tasks that drain you, joining a community who gets it, or simply investing your time to actually implement the self-care practices you know you would help. So for some of you, that means you've been listening to 100 and something episodes of Owning Pleasure as a Black woman and you haven't implemented anything. And so I'm going to challenge you to implement one thing for the next 30 days. Okay, investment isn't about spending money that you don't have or adding already to your full plate. It's about making choices that honor the life that you want to live, right? Accepting I can't pour from an empty cup. It's about recognizing that waiting until you're completely depleted is actually so you're in your health, your relationship, your joy, your capacity. It's actually very, very expensive. And I see it in the practice all the time, not just with my clients, but with my clinicians. Okay, these women are saying, I should have done this years ago. They spent years trying to figure it out alone, thinking I don't need support and convincing themselves that they can push through. By the time they reach out to somebody, they're exhausted. Imagine what becomes possible when you invest in yourself before you're in crisis. Okay, when you choose support, not because you're broken, but because like you're worthy of someone supporting you, you're worthy of that care. When you invest in practices, relationships, resources that help you thrive, not just, hey, we're not surviving in 2026. And so that's what this word means to me. And so if you're hearing it and it's resonating and there's a voice inside of you saying, I've been trying to do this alone for too long, I want you to know that choosing support isn't failure. It's probably the smartest thing that you can do if we're being honest. It's recognizing that your transformation happens in relationship. The healing happens in connection and that you don't have to carry everything by yourself. Investing in yourself it's not selfish. It's actually a strategic thing to do to get your life in the direction that you want it to go. Now, before we wrap this episode up, there's something that I want to name, and it's really, really important. Now, this episode helped you understand the concepts, right? It helped you see the patterns, but understanding a pattern and changing it safely are two different things. And so that's where we bring in the therapy aspect of where it can actually help you. It'll help you create a sustainable space, okay, without the guilt that spirals, right? Like those little rabbit hole moments that come when you start making these changes. It's going to help you reconnect to yourself and trust yourself. And it's going to help you practice the things that you want to do. This isn't something that you have to do alone. And honestly, trying to change like these deep survival patterns without support can actually make things harder and make you feel a bit more like you're failing. Okay, so let's remember that your nervous system needs safety and consistency to rewire, and that's what therapy provides. So if you're realizing that it's like, okay, Natasha, I don't want to carry this alone. If these words resonated with you and you're ready to move from understanding to transformation, our clinicians at Javery Integrative Wellness Services work with women like you every day. Okay, high achieving women who are ready to create space, reconnect with their intuition, and invest in support that actually helps them thrive. You can start by completing the intake form at javery.wellness.com/get-started. There's no pressure, no urgency. It's just a clear next step when you're ready. And if you're curious about what this work might look like, but you're not quite ready for therapy, I invite you to download our free 7-day self-care reset at javerywellness.com/reset. It's designed for women who are tired of survival mode and ready to explore what thriving actually feels like. So I want to remind you, you don't need to fix yourself this year. You need space to hear yourself, trust yourself, and just the wisdom to invest in the support that actually serves you. You deserve a year that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. I am excited to go into this new year and bring you so much more, so much more. And until next time, remember that pleasure is your birthright, boo. Talk to you. Bye.